Andrew, thanks again for giving us your time today. One of the questions that's been sent in by a church planner is the idea of dealing with baptisms. Now, it's one of those topics that people are kind of interested in. Non-Christians are interested in getting their child baptized, but it's a fraught one for church planners and indeed all ministers. What's your approach? Is there a missional opportunity with baptisms? If so, how do you handle it? What do you do at EV?
Yeah, good. Yeah, look, there's a missional opportunity in everything. Uh, every stage, every event, everything you do, keep looking for mission opportunities, and that's obviously implied in the question, of course. And I do just want to keep batting on that. The way to get a church that's its vibe is mission, and its DNA is mission, is if the guy leading it just naturally keeps wanting to find opportunities and make the most of every opportunity. So baptism is one of those. Now, in the early stages, we didn't get many requests for baptisms, and I'm assuming infant baptism is being talked about. Is that?
Well, the question is not specific, but I assume that's the one that's often, it comes up for ministers, isn't it? Sort of out of the blue, you get a call from a couple, oh, you're a minister and we've just had a baby, or maybe they've just connected with you, and that seems to be something on their mind.
Yeah. Well, in the early stages of a church plant, you don't get many of those kind of requests because you're not a real church. You haven't got a building.
You haven't got a font.
You're in a school hall, and not many people from the community kind of come to you wanting to get baptised or married in your school hall.
So you're suggesting one of the first purchases should be a freestanding font?
That's right. That you can sanctify or something. No, not at all. So we didn't get any. We got very few community invitations for baptism in those early years. Although we did get one or two, and so we took the opportunities to pursue the mission opportunity. But for mine, there were always, so just thinking infant baptism, but there's a whole policy for us at EV that sits behind all of this about our theology of baptism, our thinking about adult baptism, infant baptism, dedications. I've got a theological paper I wrote, within 2 years to deal with this issue and ensure there was something there to hand people. But with infant baptisms, there's kind of two things we operate with. One is, we stick with our convictions about it, and those convictions are that we won't baptise the infants of unbelievers. So for mine, that's kind of a line in the sand that's very clear, although for various reasons I am persuaded that infant baptism is entirely appropriate and consistent with the Christian gospel, along with Packer and Stott and various...
Yeah, you're not on your own there, yeah.
But there is a paper we've written for that. The other one is relationship. It does, whatever you do with these issues, I think the key has got to be not cool policy, but personal relationship, love, care, warmth, within the context of which you talk convictions about these things. And I'll give you one example. We had, very early on, we had a family come to us wanting their child baptised. And I think it was because of a group of friends who'd been converted in our church. They began to think along these lines, and they'd had some church background. So they came to us. Now, we didn't want to be baptising their child because they weren't believers, but the way we did it was that we responded not with here's the policy over the phone, but rather we'd love to talk. So very positive, wanted to get engaged with their lives. Because in the early stage, again, of a church plan, as all of life of church, you want to pursue relationships with people. Any warm contact, anyone who's coming towards you, you want to actually engage with them. And so, I went and visited them. So this is now early days. I went and visited them and talked to them about what it was they were after, rejoiced with them about the child. But then I was able to express in the context of relationship over a couple of weeks what my understanding of baptism was and what the parents would be saying, which was really just to gospel them. It's just to speak and share the gospel with them about baptism. It's a declaration that Jesus is the one who runs your life, and he's the one that you come to by faith to find your sins forgiven. I unpacked all the gospel with them. Are you in a place to actually say that of yourselves, that you want that for your child? And they said, no, that's not where we're at. We haven't thought about that. And so we talked about the gospel
Yeah.
And then we offered alternatives such as a Thanksgiving service for their child. And there's the relational positive thing. We want to affirm life, and we want to do it as a church because God does. And so we want to keep coming across to people with that life affirming. We're for you. We're positive. God delights in these things, and we want to as well. But we have very firm convictions, and here's why.
Yeah.
Because relationship with God is preeminent and the most important thing you can be concerned about.
So it's not going to be one of those situations where you say, listen, you don't just measure up, to our list of convictions here, but rather let me get alongside of you and explain what's going on.
Absolutely. That's so stick with your convictions, but do it in the context of relationship as far as you're able. And I'm amazed people are very warm and responsive in return, And so we've done numbers of Thanksgivings for children. We also do dedications to those whose convictions run along those lines. But that's the whole policy about baptism that we operate with. Adult baptisms, we're very firmly committed to baptising anyone who comes to faith who has not been baptised, and we're not opposed on principle to rebaptism, as some churches might be, for various theological reasons. But we've got a baptism Sunday where we do them twice a year as a public event, and we use that as an evangelistic opportunity. We do about 40 baptisms a year, public baptisms. We go down the beach, we make a lot of noise, we sing a song, preach a sermon, we hand out stuff, and we take...
That's what I was going to ask you. The follow-on question for me, this is when you come to the adult baptism, for a church plant, it actually might be an opportunity to make the community aware of who they are and what they do. So you're not just away in the school hall, so to speak, doing the baptism there, but you've chosen a public beach, as the place where you're going to do your baptism.
Yeah. One of the keys for church planting is profile. The more you can do to establish your new church plant with a profile so that the community knows you exist and see the life that's there, small that it might be, the more the warm context will come towards you. When church plants operate hidden, the only profile I'll have is the individual relationships.
Yeah.
And we want to maximise the corporate relationship with the community as much as we can. So profile is big. Although we have done baptisms in indoor pools, and we've done it in various contexts because of weather and so on. But at present, we're loving it. We go down to the middle of Terrigal and make a big noise. It's great fun.
And there's a surfing session afterwards, which is fantastic.
Yeah.
Okay, so be thought out, be relational, and be public.
Yeah, as much as you're able.
Great. Yeah. Andrew, thanks very much for your time. And we might even see if we can grab that document off you, because maybe the people who are listening to the question would be interested in reading, that approach so they can think of their own approach.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great. Okay, well, look forward to talking to you next time.
Good on you.